The cemetery was quiet. The evening sun cast long shadows across the rows of graves. At the far end, beside a freshly carved headstone, a black woman knelt on the damp grass. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she held the hand of a small boy, no older than 6. The boy looked up at her innocently. "Mommy, why are you crying?" She wiped her tears quickly, forcing a smile, but her voice trembled. "Because we are standing at the grave of a man who meant so much to us." The woman placed a single white flower on the grave. The name carved on the stone made her heart ache. Michael Blackwell, beloved son, gone too soon. What she didn't know was that just a few steps away, hidden by the shadows of a marble angel, stood an older woman, Eleanor Blackwell, Michael's mother and one of the richest women in the city. Eleanor's eyes narrowed as she watched the scene unfold. Who was this maid? Why was she crying over her son's grave? And whose child was that? Finally, unable to control herself, Eleanor stepped forward, her voice sharp and commanding. "You, maid, explain yourself. What business do you have here crying at my son's grave?" The black woman froze, her hands tightening protectively around the boy. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Because your son was my world too." Eleanor's heart skipped a beat. Confusion, anger, and disbelief clashed on her face. "What nonsense is this? Speak clearly, girl." The maid lowered her eyes, tears dripping onto the grass. "This child is Michael's son." The air around them felt heavy. Eleanor's world spun as she stared at the little boy, his innocent face strikingly familiar. Eleanor's heart pounded as if the earth had slipped beneath her feet. She staggered back a few steps, her eyes fixed on the little boy standing beside the black waitress. "Michael's son," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "No, no, that's impossible. My Michael would never hide something like this from me." The woman's eyes filled with quiet strength and sadness. She stood tall despite her trembling hands. "My name is Grace," she said softly, "and I wish I didn't have to meet you like this. But the truth has been buried too long." Eleanor shook her head furiously, refusing to accept it. "No, he was engaged. He was building his future. He had responsibilities. Do you expect me to believe he would throw everything away for—" Grace interrupted gently, though her voice carried pain. "For someone like me? A maid? A black woman who was never supposed to look him in the eye?" The accusation struck Eleanor like a knife. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Around them, the cemetery was silent except for the rustle of leaves. Grace's tears spilled as she clutched her child closer. "Michael loved me," she whispered, almost to herself. "He didn't care about wealth or race or what people would say. He saw me, not as a servant, but as a woman with dreams, with a heart. We shared moments I will never forget. His laughter, his kindness, the way he spoke about wanting a family someday. He promised to protect me, and I believed him." Eleanor's face hardened, clinging desperately to denial. "Then why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he tell anyone?" Grace's voice cracked. "Because before he could, he was gone. That accident took him away before he ever knew I was carrying his child. I never wanted money or recognition, only for my son to know who his father was." Eleanor's eyes flickered to the boy. The child's curly hair framed a face too familiar to deny. His eyes, green, just like Michael's. His little smile, innocent but haunting, was a mirror of the son she had buried. The boy tugged at Grace's dress and asked in a small, curious voice, "Mommy, who is this lady? Why is she crying?" Grace crouched down, brushing her son's cheek tenderly. She is your grandmother." The words shattered Eleanor's last defense. Her knees buckled, and for the first time in decades, the proud billionaire woman fell to the ground in front of someone she once would have ignored. Tears streamed down her face. My grandson, she whispered. Michael's son. I've spent years mourning him, and all this time a piece of him was alive right here. Grace's guard remained up. She had faced too much judgment, too much prejudice to surrender easily. You always looked at me like I was less than you. How can I trust that now you'll look at my son differently? Eleanor's chest heaved. She reached for the child, her hands trembling. Because I've already lost everything that mattered once. I won't make that mistake again. Please, let me be part of his life. Let me love him as I should have. The little boy studied Eleanor's tear-streaked face. His small hand reached out, hesitant but pure. Eleanor clasped it, her heart breaking and healing at the same time. Grace watched silently, conflicted but moved. In that fragile moment, prejudice and pride seemed so small compared to love and loss. At Michael's grave under the gray sky, a broken family found the first spark of healing, and the beginning of a story that might yet honor his memory.